Hello and welcome. Let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm Geni Whitehouse. I'm the founder of theimpactfuladvisor.com. I'm a CPA and I'll tell you more about me. But what I want to talk about, let me make sure you're seeing my screen here, is the fact that we accounting folk think that it's all about the financial statements, right? We think that our job is done when we have a balanced financial statement, when we have the bank account reconciled, and we can hand them a financial statement that works. But really, the financial statements are the tip of the iceberg. They're just the result of all of the work that goes on all day long, all month long, all year long. And for those of us who are doing client accounting services, client accounting and advisory services, or bookkeeping, or whatever you want to call it, or outsourced accounting, there's a lot more that we can do based on the transactional flow that leads into the financial statement outcomes that we monitor. So our clients are dealing with things like customer issues and operational challenges and people, and the end in mind is driving what they're trying to do. They have some target, hopefully, in mind, and they are in business to solve some particular mission that they have in life. And we'll talk more about that. But what I want you to think about today is, what can we do to what we do in the general ledger? How can we serve our clients so that they can move forward towards whatever they're trying to accomplish? So what we do is really bury our clients in a sea of numbers. They get lost in all the numbers. They don't understand what we're talking about. And the sad impact of that is that our value goes down. The less they can understand stuff, the less value we have, and the less we make from those clients. The more what we do is invisible and not understood by the client, the less value they see, and the more likely they are to shop for somebody who's charging less. And that is the last thing that I want to be as an accountant, as an advisor, is the cheapest person on the block. And so what I'm going to share with you today, hopefully, are some tools that you can use to help separate yourself from those clients that are shopping for price. And you can really start to have a different level of connection with your clients. And that's what I've spent the last way long time, 20 plus years, in speaking about and trying to teach people about. And later, for the last 17 years, I've been applying the tools that I'm going to share with you with my own clients in Napa Valley. So I'm part-time employed in a CPA firm here, and I'm using these tools every day and trying to help my clients improve their business outcomes. So that's about me. Those are the various sites that I'm on. You can find me on the web, connect with me on LinkedIn, and let me know how you're doing. The Impactful Advisor I launched during COVID, and I had been speaking about the toolkit that was created by Mentor Plus, which I found in 2004, and got so excited about the methodology that I've been using it. I've been speaking about it. And it's actually how I ended up working with this firm in Napa, because they had been through the same training that I went through. So during COVID, I reached out and acquired the rights to the training. I add some monthly webinars on top of the online training materials, but it includes 100 tools, and you're going to see some of those today. So the first thing I want you to think about is, the advisory this, advisory that, blah, 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 blah. You've heard it everywhere. You need to be doing advisory. You should be doing advisory. Why aren't you doing advisory? And the question I want to answer is, what is advisory? Because everybody's talking about it, and very few people know how to do it or what it really is. And this is my answer to what that is. Advisory is whatever you're doing to help your clients move the needle forward in the direction of their dreams, in the direction of his or her dreams. That means you got to know what the dream is. So it's moving this needle. It's not just measuring stuff, which is what we're trained to do. We can count stuff after the fact, but what is it we can do for the client to help them improve the future, not just account for the historical results that they've achieved? So that's what, to me, if you're not doing that, you're not doing advisory. So that's my own definition of it. And I think that's what matters, because that's what the clients want from us. And what I've learned over the years, and I started out just speaking to CPAs, and I have been speaking more recently in the last probably 10 years to more bookkeeping associations as well as CPAs. And what I'm finding is the bookkeeper community, because we're closer to the transactions and the pain that the client has, is much more proactively adopting these tools and actually using them than some of the more traditional accountants, who are not as comfortable and not as connected to the day-to-day pain and suffering that their clients are going through. So there's a real opportunity for all of us to get more connected to what's happening at the client level. So with that, we're going to put up a quick poll. And I just want to find out, are you delivering advisory services? And I was a partner in a CPA firm. I made partner in a CPA firm in Atlanta after 15 years of doing different things related to tax. And the day I made partner, I left because I wasn't doing enough for my clients. I hated to do a tax return and give it to a client and tell them they owed money and then not be able to offer them any help on how to find the money, how to produce more cash. So I left to go in search of tools to make accounting and technology better and ended up doing stuff in accounting and tech and then found these tools and the rest is history. So, but I was doing advisory as a tax person in the CPA firm because a client would ask me to do some weird thing and I would figure out how to do the weird thing. And then another client would ask me to do some other weird thing. And what we call that is random acts of consulting, which I guarantee you most of you are doing. So take the poll and tell me what you think. Do you deliver advisory services only when asked? Yes, we have a package of services we deliver, or no. So let us know the answer to that. And we'll wait another minute. Lizzie, can you let me know when? There we go, poll went away. So most people, it's the way we do advisory is this random acts of consulting, and it takes a lot of effort. We do it one time, we might charge a lot for that one time, but then the next client comes along, they want something completely different. So we don't get to leverage the expertise that we applied in creating that first solution for the client. So what I'm talking about is a systematic way of delivering services for clients, and it's the kind of services that clients will pay for. So Jennifer says she hasn't done it yet, but you want to go, Jennifer. And what you need is something to tell you how to do it, right? That's what I didn't have. I mean, I figured it out and painfully, and then I had to still go back and do the tax returns at night. So I was working all the time and not ever seeing my children. That was part of why I left the firm as well, to go and pursue something else. But then that's what people need. What does advisory look like? How do I do it? How do I start? And that's what I'm going to share with you. I'm going to give you some of the tools that were created by Mentor Plus, again, the company that did it. And I just have the rights to that. And again, I use it. My whole firm, our whole firm in Napa is trained in these tools. And I have trained 100 people since I got the rights in this toolkit. So this random acts of consulting is something that we want to try to improve on, and we want to give you tools that allow you to do it over and over again across clients, and then you really gain confidence and you really get smarter about the patterns that you're going to see. And when I'm in a firm and we only have winery clients, it's amazing how beneficial that is. And I had my own practice in Atlanta. I did software consulting on Peachtree that I took to the firm and then did the tax stuff too. But I was working on all kinds of different clients and I had to learn different things in every one. And if a new law came out or some new requirement came out, it took a lot of effort to get up to speed on a construction client and a cold storage client and the Waffle House client that we had and this client, mobile home park, and that's the kind of stuff you have in Atlanta. And I had to get up to speed on all those different things. And now all my clients are in wineries. So I know that there are certain things related to farming and other aspects of what they're doing that I need to pay attention to, and other things that may not apply. So it really streamlines things for you if you want to do advisory, if you can focus on an area. And I know not everybody can, but one of the things we're going to talk about as we go further is you can focus on specific applications within different industries, like e-commerce. You can look at retail clients within different industries, and they have similar challenges. And thank you, Lizzie, for reminding me. If you stay till the end, there's going to be a special bonus for you related to the toolkit that is my sponsor, and that is Sender. And I'm really happy to be here. Okay, so here's how you start advisory. And the first problem we have to overcome is if you were an accountant, and that's bookkeeper, and accountants are people that do numbers. I don't care what label you put on it. You can be a bookkeeper, a financial person, a tax person, an audit, whatever you want to call it. We're accounting people. We're accountable for the results of our client. So the first problem you have to overcome is if you say you're a numbers person, you're put into a bucket. If you're a CPA, people think you do taxes. If you say bookkeeper, people think you're just doing transactional stuff, right? And they put you in this compliance bucket and they're shopping for price. So the first thing you want to do is say, if you're looking for the cheapest, whatever, bookkeeper, tax person, whatever, I'm not it. And I want to ask a series of questions before we go any further to understand what you're trying to do in your business. And then we can talk about addressing the specific challenges that you might have. But this is how I work. If this doesn't work for you, then I may not be the right fit. So you're already starting to separate yourself from the masses with this little simple bingo card, and we like to call it. This is called the scope grid, and this is part of the Mentor Plus toolkit. So the first thing you're going to do, the first shift we make is to get out of just this financial bucket, which is where we spend most of our time, and expand the view of the company to these areas of the business. So financial, which is the S. So we call this a scope grid. S for the $sign, COPE, scope grid. And we do financial, customers, operations, people, and end in mind. The central place to start is to ask the client, why are you in this business? And if they say something like to pay the bills or to make a profit, you need to dig further, because yes, that's a nice, they have to do that, but there's some motivation that makes somebody have a winery and not a shoe store, or sell cheese and not alcohol, or whatever, all the choices we have, or, there's some reason that they've decided they want to do this thing and not something else. So you want to understand that internal motivation, because then everything you do with that client should be in support of that. And if the client says, and like this is what they say, a lot of our clients in the wine industry, and if you've been to Napa, hopefully you've experienced it, they want to treat visitors to their winery like family. Not we want to make people feel dumb about wine by talking down to them. They want you to feel welcome. They want to share the bounty of the earth. They have this amazing elixir that they produce, and they want to share it. And so that's the motivation most of them had. They had some great experience in the wine tasting when they were in college or something, and that made them very interested in this area. And so eventually they came and spent a bunch of money and got some property here and launched a winery. But knowing that, that says luxury, that says high caliber employees, that says my systems need to be great. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be right in order to support that why that they're trying to accomplish. So knowing that gives you a great starting place to help figure out what you need to help them do. So once you know why, and that's the Simon Sinek why, he wrote a book, Start With Why, and there's a second book called Finding Your Why that you can use to help clients figure out their why if they don't know it. So this is where you start, and then you want to find out, where are they planning to go? What's the end game for the business? What are they trying to sell it? Do they want to go public? Do they want to build a legacy, which is many of our clients want to have a multi-generational enterprise. And so there's a whole different set of requirements that need to go into that, but you need to know it in order to help them move the needle in the direction they want to go, right? If you don't know where they're trying to go, you can't do it. So we get that information, and you've already made them think differently than anybody else. You're going, oh, nobody asked me that. They usually say, what's wrong with your financials? Or what's the problem? Let me tell you what to do about it, right? That's our standard default. I want to help them, and I want to get in there and tell them what I know that can save all their, solve all their problems. But we want to back up a little bit, get the broader perspective, really get them thinking about why this is so important to them. And then your value starts to elevate. And then the value of what you can do is elevated, because now you really see what's the underlying problem. So first we get them in a positive state of mind by asking what they've done right. What are they proud of? Let them start talking about all the great things they've accomplished, which they probably don't even think about very often. They're busy thinking about this part. Oh, this is broken, that's broken. Think about yourselves. You could go on for days talking about all the stuff that's wrong, and you probably can't remember one thing that you got done right. That's me. I'm like, I'm not sure that I did get anything done right, but I can remember the review notes that I got on every tax return I ever did. So we want them to get positive and expand their view when they're talking to you about what's going on. What have I done right financially? What have I done right with customers? And fill this in, and you have them talk and you write it down and take notes. And then at the end of your meeting, you send it back and say, here's what you said. I want you to think about this, see if I got everything that you said right. And then based on this, we'll schedule our next meeting, or we'll come up with a proposal based on what you've had. Now, obviously you're going to need more information, but this gets them in a frame of mind of thinking, wow, they're really going to think about all of the elements of the business and help me make a difference. So what's broken? What do we need to fix? And then this last area is really where they start to vision where you can help them go. And that is, what is your ideal outcome for financials? What's good? We assume that every client wants positive net income. That's their goal. Well, in our industry, that isn't the goal. It's long-term equity that they're worried about, which is a balance sheet metric. So they're trying to grow the value of the assets because that's where much of the value lies in our industry. The brand is a big value, and the vineyard land, if the brand does well, the vineyard land elevates in value. So they're looking at the payback over the long term. So current period net income is not that big a focus. And oftentimes they have other businesses that are profitable and they want to use some of those losses from the winery to offset it, which is a good thing because they got losses in most wineries at the first 5 years at least. So what is it they're trying to achieve here? And we can't make assumptions that it's what we think they should do. It might be cash flow. It might be profit. It might be long-term equity. It might be something else. It might be trying to generate losses to use up some of the capital. I mean, who knows? There are all kinds of weird things, but capture that so you can look at what you can do to help them get there. And then on the customer side, are we trying to go national? Do we want to be all the top something in this area? Or what's the goal on the customer side? Operationally, what do we need? Again, in support of this bigger picture why. And so walk them through this, fill this document in, and we just do it by hand because we're talking to them. We usually have 2 people in the room, one of us looking at the client and one taking notes. And then we send this document typed up after the fact. You can also do it in Google Sheets or any tool that you want to use. And while they're talking, somebody can be filling it in. They can see what they've said. And if you mess something up, they can correct you. But then you have this summary of the meeting that everybody can look at and then refer back to as time passes and then revise it. So, and the end in mind, if I have a family legacy as my goal and none of my children are in the business, then I'm not on track. So those are the kind of things you want to check. If this is your end game, are we in line to make that happen? So this is a simple document. I'll be happy to send you this grid document, but you can create your own on a piece of paper. But this is the thing, expand the view from just that one financial column all the way across to all the other areas of the business that drive the financial outcome you might be trying to fix. And, you know, we have always, there's usually a fire in the financial thing. That's why they come to us. The bookkeeper did a bad job, or the bank needs a financial, right? The bank needs a financial statement tomorrow and I haven't done my books in 3 years, or I have a tax return due tomorrow and I don't have anything put together. So that's always fun. And even if that's the case, you can say, this is how we operate. We want to know this stuff. I know you have a crisis. We can do that. And then we're going to come back to this if they don't have time and they're too in chaos. But you want to make sure you get back to this because, again, if you're doing a short-term fix, you might be doing something that doesn't serve them over the long term if you don't have the big picture. And then operationally, they may have some problem with some application. They might not be able to reconcile their point of sale sales, their e-commerce sales, which is one of the things that I personally faced, which is how I found Sender, who was the sponsor for this call. So there may be some pain point on the operational side, or maybe something else, but you won't know unless you go through this process. So what do we do now? So we have this broad view of what's going on. We have this sense of where the fires are and what they're trying to accomplish. And we also know the ideal outcome. So what success is going to look like in each of those areas. So now what we're going to do is help them focus on what they want to fix, starting at the highest level in the company. And we're going to break it down into those different areas of the business, the customer side, the operations of people, the financial stuff, and also that long-term objective, and figure out what we need to do in each of those areas, what success factors are going to be required to get us to move the needle on that particular thing. And then we're going to create these measures against those critical success factors and eventually help them create a dashboard so that they have an immediate picture of what's happening across that business. And can you imagine how much that would be useful to an owner of a business, especially right now? So I don't know about your industry. So would you type into the chat what industries you work with so that I can get a sense? Just type in the chat so everybody can see, and hopefully we can see it. You might have to go in the Q&A. No, Lizzie, can they type in the chat? Yeah, because I can see Jennifer's thing. What industries are you working in? So in the wine industry, the buyers have changed dramatically by generation. So they're struggling with competition among different spirit options, as well as cannabis and other things that people are doing instead of drinking wine. It's whoever will pay you. I'm like, Jennifer, that was my business model. And sometimes I didn't like to bill them. I just wanted whoever needed help. And I was afraid to charge for the services, which is not a great way to build your own practice. Right now, it's, yeah, life science, cool, wholesale and real estate. That's great. Thank you, Paul, for sharing that. There's lots of areas and lots of just chaos and sort of panic in the marketplace. People don't know. People don't know. That's right, Jennifer. You just keep doing the work because they need you, right? And you don't want to charge them because they can't afford me and they really need my help. But then you need help because you aren't making any money and you can't pay the because you haven't got enough. It's time to stop and put yourself above your clients. Think about it. You start raising your price. So here's the thing: the greatest lesson I learned. I had my own practice. I was billing, working all the time, and I took the practice into the firm. You know, I didn't sell it. I just said, I'm going to come in and join the firm, and I'm going to bring all these clients with me. They don't. All right, something just flipped out there. I'm going to keep talking. Liz, are you okay? All right. So the next thing, so we have this list of steps that we're going to walk that client through. So the first thing we have to do, you know, everybody's got ideas of things. And then what we want to do is help them turn that into action. And here's the challenge. Most of us are used to working with the owner. And the owner's the one with all the ideas, right? But the owner isn't the one who executes. It's the little people in the front lines who are making those dreams come true. And we need to help those people understand how they can connect to that big idea that the owner had. And that's where I believe the fun part is. The magic happens when you can get the people doing the work to get the impact that they have and understand it. And then they start changing the way they behave. And that's how you move the needle for the client. So the objectives in this whole level or area of advisory is to manage what you can measure, identify the critical key things that we need to count in order to see if we're moving forward. And these are things that we measure that are related to activities. And I'm going to give you more about that, but we want to get granular in what we're looking at. We don't want to do things like average order size or days inventory on hand, which are financial metrics, but those happen after everything's done. We want to measure things like how many new email signups are we having a month or a week or a day? How many new customers have come through the door in a given day or week or month? And we want to track that as it's happening. And how many units are people buying each day on average? And we want to track that daily. So what we need is timely, relevant metrics that we can all see as they're happening so we can change behavior in the middle of the month, not wait till we've blown the month and then try to figure out what to do for the next one. So everything I'm going to talk about is about being proactive in how you behave and what you look at. So we're going to set up some measures and then figure out where are we now? And that's hard sometimes. How do I know what my marketing conversion rate is? How many people come from the website? How many leads do I get? And how many of those turn into sales? And why are the ones not converting and all that stuff? So all that data around all the pieces that go into a transaction are sometimes hard to gather. So one of the things we might do as solution providers or as advisors to our clients is help them count where they are now. So then we can set a meaningful target of where we want to go. So if you know strategy without action, there are lots of companies. There's a book called Hope is Not a Strategy, which many companies are operating under. Well, I'm going to keep doing the same thing and hope that I have a different outcome, right? That's Einstein's theory of insanity, I think. And then what can we do to impact how people behave? And that's the tricky part, because we have to give them relevant information so that they can make a decision like we as an owner would make. So our old way of thinking, our historical focus that we're used to doing as accountants is revenue minus expenses equal profit. And that is a great way to measure outcome. After the fact, we call that lagging indicators. That is a measure, obviously. At the end of the month, if we made net income, we succeeded in that metric. So it's something that's meaningful. Sometimes it takes us 4 weeks after the month to come up with that number though, right? Because we're still reconciling, adjusting, and posting and doing all that and getting those expense reports from those terrible salespeople who never give us their expense report. So So sometimes we don't know that till a month has passed after the month. So that's a historical focus. We're going to shift to this focus. We're going to look at a business this way. It's made up of things we put in, stuff we do in the middle, and then something coming out the other side. Okay, that's the technical explanation of that. So there are activities and people doing things that are where the money happens, where the money gets spent, where it gets made, everything that really matters to that outcome that we're measuring is happening inside that box. And we need to measure stuff here and here before we get over here. This is where the financial statement measures are. At the end of that outcome arrow, we're going, okay, we lost a bunch of money. Well, by that time, it's too late. And we need to say, what are we putting in and what can we do better here? And what can we do with the people who are applying processes to get the work done? And this is where the opportunity is to make the biggest impact. And this is where we need to be focusing more instead of just waiting to count up here. One of my friends said accountants are people who show up on the battlefield after the war is over and count the bodies. That's what we're doing. The results are where they are. We're just counting the, what's left, basically. So what we want to be is people who prevent the war or who, make it go away, ideally. So what we want to do now is shift to this future focus. And this is where that middle stuff is. We're going to look at the people applying processes. And when we can calculate measures and metrics at that level, we become proactive and we're creating what we call leading or predictive indicator. And that's the shift. That's what I didn't know how to do before I found this toolkit. And it's why I've been using it and talking about it for so long, because this is what clients really want. What can I do to get my people doing the things I want them to do? Well, first you got to educate them about their impact on those things, because they don't know. If you say you need to sell $1 million more between this from over what you sold last year, and you tell all the people who are doing sales or all people who are at the front lines in the tasting room or in a retail store, you guys have to sell $1 million more, they're going to all just look at you blankly and go, okay, and then do whatever they were doing because they don't know what to do. So what we need to do is break it down for those people. So what we're going to do is look at the lead dominoes, and that is we got people doing stuff, and those generate strategic outcomes, right? And that hopefully supports whatever business goal we're trying to achieve. So if our goal is increase retail sales, then we got to figure out what are the drivers of retail sales. And we got to spell this out for the client and their teams. This is where the gold is at the end of the rainbow. If you're an advisor, one of the things you can do, which is very valuable to the client and also extremely insightful for you, is take a look at the processes. What does their sales cycle look like? And our toolkit has a bunch of different ways to do that. We have a thing called the cycle of customer interaction, where you look at every touch point. You could just do a process map. You can just get sticky notes and say, tell me what starts a sale. So is it an order? Is it somebody going to the website? And let's track all the touch points from that point until payment by the customer. So you review the whole chain of events. You get everybody in the room who's connected to those processes. And you start to identify all kinds of weirdo, crazy things that they're doing. And then you can start talking about automation and metrics and what we can do and all kinds of stuff just in that one process. But you can just be the documenter. You don't have to know what they're doing. You can just sit there and say, you do this, and then what happens? And then what happens? And then you document that whole thing for them, and they go, wow, why are we doing all of that? And that's when you come in with your cape on as a superhero. I know a solution that can help you do this better. It's a great feeling to be that person and not the tax assessor who hands them their tax return and the bill. So look at those processes. So here's an example. And this, if this doesn't scare you, I don't know what does. This is a process map that I did. I taught a class, believe it or not, and I teach, this is how we market what we do in our firm, because we had to educate people that were different accountants, because we sent out mailers that said CPAs, and everybody went, we got taxes, and we needed to educate them that we did advisory. So one of the first things I did, and I heard how much trouble people were having with their e-commerce solution. And so in the wine industry, they have one tool that's a web-based product that they're selling wine online, and on the same tool is in the tasting room as the cash register. So it's a point of sale e-commerce cash register system, a retail solution. And they're custom for the wine industry, so they're not standard. They are integrated with all the weirdo compliance rules and stuff. So they're specific to the industry, which means it's hard to find tools that work with them. So we documented, and I had a class, and I didn't, this was when I was relatively new to the wine industry. And I said, tell me what goes on. Why is this so hard for you guys? Why are you having so much trouble? And then we documented the steps. So I had somebody in the room, and these were all different winery people. Okay, what happens first? Well, we do a web page, and then they make a reservation to come visit, and then we confirm it, and we went through all, and I was like, this is insane. And you're doing all of this, and there's 25 spreadsheets in between. And then here's what's going on if we sell it on the website, and here's what happens for our wine club members and other category sales. And meanwhile, the accounting's sitting over here waiting for something to happen. And they're getting stuff, and then they have to reconcile this mess because we have the payment gateway, we have the website, the web solution that is recording the sales that doesn't match the payment gateway. And then we have a deposit hitting the bank that's a totally different number. So you've got all this stuff happening, and they can't connect all three of those numbers. This is where something like Sender takes all that pain away. And unfortunately, they don't work with this weirdo point of sale system that my clients are using, but I'm using Sender for my own online sales. I sell my training classes online. And the first time I set it up, it's really easy to do. You go to the website, I have a Squarespace account. You can turn on this store and you can start selling stuff. Well, all of a sudden this money starts coming in. I got this number over here, I got this number here, I got this number. I can't figure out what to do. And I'm gonna have to create a sales receipt after the fact and had to add these customers. A nightmare. It was a nightmare. I'm a small business. I don't have that many transactions coming in, but it was a mess. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I went to a conference and I found Sender and went, you've got to be kidding me. You do all of this? I connected my account and it all flows in the right place. The bank deposit hits, it's got the fees accounted for, it sets up a new customer if I want it. It can also just summarize and put in the totals, and I want the customer data. So that comes in, everything is done. I don't have to reconcile anything. And that's the kind of stuff you can bring to your clients. So they connect to all the main payment solutions and simplify all of that accounting on the back end so that the QuickBooks is right every day. You don't have to go through what I was going through. But this is the kind of stuff, just documenting this for a client and showing them where the inefficiencies are is a huge value add. And so I did this with wine. I do this with wineries all the time. We sit down and document it, and the owner sits there and goes, why in the world are we doing that, that, and that? And somebody will always say, because you told us we couldn't spend any money and we couldn't buy another $50 product or something that could save us, hundreds of hours of time that we're spending reconciling. So this is a valuable service you can deliver and get started in advisory just by being the process documenter. And then as you start to see processes and inefficiencies, you're going to go out and identify solutions that you can apply to help make this one better. So Sender has knowledge about all the back-end payment solutions, and then they give you insights into what's going on. This is just a sample of one report. They have the cash flow so you can see what's going on. You can do all sorts of insights into the products that you're selling, who's buying what, which products are the top sellers. You can make connections across products. So they have built-in analytics that are going to help that client make better decisions proactively. That's the kind of thing we need to be known for. As accountants, as advisors, as numbers people, as bookkeepers, whatever we're doing for that client, this is what they want. They want help. They want to be more effective and efficient. They want better insights so they can make better and more timely decisions. And that's what Sender does for you. Again, it's Sender, not Snyder. That Y is before the N, and it's Sender. They're sending information to you. So keep track of it like that. So when we're trying to get the retail number up, we're breaking it down into the components. We've done the documentation to see what the process looks like. And now we're going to break it down and go, what is it we need to work on to improve the retail sale? Well, that means we either got to have more units or we got to have more dollars per sale, right? Now, those are the two choices. We either got a volume challenge or a pricing challenge. And so that's what we want our team to understand. You got two choices. Maybe we don't have enough people coming in. If you're the sales team, you always point to the people before you in line, and that would be marketing, right? I'm in a retail site. I don't have enough people coming in each day. It's a marketing problem, so it's not my fault. But what really happens is it's not the number of people that come in that matter. It's how many of those people buy. And that you can control if you're working in the retail environment. So what we need is more visitors buying, not just more visitors. And we need for each of those visitors who come in to buy more. And if we could improve either of those two things, we could have an impact on revenue. So that's how we want to position the financial goal that we're setting at the highest level. We're going to break it down to this. And then you ask the team, you get in front of the team, these are our choices, which one is easier to work on? And most of them will say each visitor buying more because they're already in there, they're already buying. So we want to work on that particular strategy to try to drive the sales up. And so these are the things they suggest. So then I could say, if I'm facilitating, okay, what do you want to do? I don't know what to do. I'm not a salesperson, clearly. So I'm going to say, what things could we do to get the people who buy to buy more? And they come up with things like, well, we could train our teams better. We could look at pricing. We could have discounts and offers. We can upsell and bundle like the drive-thrus have always done. You know, do you want fries with that burger? We could package things, bundle things. We could create smaller bottles that have a higher price per unit. We can put stuff by the register. That works for me. So they come up with these solutions, which is very different from the owner saying, we're going to force everybody to go through sales training in order to improve our retail sales. Because that may not work. You may know what to do, but you don't have the capacity to work directly with clients. So there may be some other impediment that the owner doesn't even know is there. And that's where you can enlighten everybody in the company on what's really going on and what's impacting sales. So let's say we're going to count, and in my wine industry, we're going to look at bottles per visitor as the metric. Let me show you how I broke it down for the wine industry. This is a tool, again, coming from Mentor Plus, and I took the model that's part of the toolkit and created my own winery-specific version of the model, because this is what I'm going out there in front of tasting room folks, and these are the people behind the bar pouring the alcohol. These are not accountants. These are salespeople. And I'm going and sitting in front of them and bringing up this model and saying, okay, and I get the data from somebody in the company. Here's where we are. This is how many days we're open. So I have a volume strategy or a price. Those are my only two options I have to increase revenue. I've got my starting revenue information up here, and I've got my starting components of revenue identified already for the client. So I'm open this many days. I have this many people on average each day. I know that of those 22 visitors, 10 buy. Make this a little bigger so you can see. And then that's a conversion rate of 45%. And then this is what the people who buy on average. So this is 4.62 bottles. Yeah, I don't know who the 0.62 bottle drinker is, but so it's less than 5 bottles that they're buying on average. So I tell the team, if we want to work on volume, we can open more days, but that's not really within our control. Or we can try to get more visitors into the winery. So if I get 5 more visitors, I'm going to look up here and see the impact. Nothing changed because I can shove 10,000 people in a room, but they got to buy. It doesn't matter how many people I have. Instead of worrying about that, what we're going to do is focus on getting one more person out of those 22 to buy. So now I'm going to increase the conversion rate, and you see $50,000 additional revenue appears up top. So now my team is going, oh, that's what we got to do. We got to work on that and one more person. Okay. We're going to get half the people that come in to buy something, and then we're going to increase our revenue. Okay, so if that isn't an option, and then I say, what can you do to do that? And they come up with ideas. And then I say, okay, what if we just focused on what they buy, and instead of just 4.62 bottles, we get them to buy on average 5. And that's a pretty big buy. But so if I put in that much increase to get me to 5 bottles, now I'm generating more revenue that way. So now they have 2 strategies they can deploy. And then I say, okay, what can we do to get people to buy more cases? The people who are already at the register, we want them to buy more so that the value of what they're buying goes up. And they come up with a million ideas because it's now tangible for them. This is where we can make a huge impact on clients and on employee engagement, because now they see their impact on what's happening and they know their connection to the big picture revenue target. And then if we look at the price, we can also look at channel strategy. So our clients sell to wholesale and retail, and they have different margins. So I can move the needle that way, or I can look at the products that I'm selling. And here's the price comparison. This is a case price. So my Chardonnay example is $2.40 a case. My Cabernet Sauvignon, which is the Napa Valley known for wine, is $7.20 a case. And good luck if you can find one for that price now. And then Cab Franc, which is another one. And then I had a spot for something else, which we're not selling. So look at the vast difference in price. So if I can take 2% of my Chardonnay buyers and convert them over to Cab, I've started to add incremental revenue. And this is tracking what I'm getting from each of the different things that I've done. So you can see, but this model is what's so unique. I've broken it down now so that I can see all the components. I let the team decide what things they want to change, and then we create things to count that let us see that we're making progress. That's how advisory is really effective, and it's fun to go in. I go in the wineries. You're that nerd lady that showed us about the revenue. I go, yeah, and they go, we're on track today for where we wanted to be for each day, and we've hit it today, and now we are trying to get even better for tomorrow. And that's the kind of stuff. It's really interesting to see how this makes people get excited and feel like they're on a team instead of getting punished for not hitting whatever target the owner puts in play. So when it comes to something like this, the question is, who's closest to the customer? Who knows what really happens at that front line in the tasting room? In our case, the closest people to the customer are those tasting room staff. And it might be retail staff in a store. It might be somebody on the website. It might be some customer support person. Whoever that is, those people need to be in the room because they're going to really understand the small things that feed into that financial outcome that you're trying to improve. So this whole advisory thing and what we're trying to teach the world to do is have a systematic, repeatable process that allows you to do this. And this is under the whole category of performance management, which is a system of doing these things, identifying what's really going on, create measures that help you move the needle and track it, monitor what's happening, then leverage the insights and skills and talents of all the people involved, and then focus on continuous improvement around whatever you've done. Because once you measure something, you set a target and you achieve it, then you go find something else you're going to work on. You set a new target, you focus on that and you achieve it, and you just keep doing that. And eventually you have the whole business running in a very sustainable way. Everybody's focused on how they can help the company achieve its goals. So you want to create measures. If our thing is to sell more to existing visitors, what we would track is number of bottles per customer who buys. So if we're currently at 4 and we want to get to 5, we're going to just keep track on paper of how many bottles each person that buys something buys. It doesn't have to be a fancy whiz-bang visual dashboard that we build for that basic level of tracking. What we really want is visibility and simplicity on those. So you can help people get the chalkboard in the back room and they just put four marks if they sell 4 and whatever. And then at the end of the day, you can look, or even halfway through the day, you go, oh, we're only selling 3 bottles a customer. Between now and the end of the day, we need to do something to get us to 5. And then you all talk about what we can do, and then you go out and do it. It's amazing how that works. So question for you now, do you work with retail clients? Poll number 2. Yes, no, or you're not sure if you have retail clients or not. And that could be that you're not that connected to the day-to-day stuff. Maybe you're doing the tax work and you don't know how they're generating those sales. Another second here for the poll. That was not wine or alcohol. That is hint, my favorite water. Okay, good on the poll. Seeing the results yet, so I'm gonna go ahead. So when it comes to, okay, I didn't see the poll result. There we go. No, 55% of you are not. I guarantee you your clients are moving that way. Everybody's selling something online. It's the big thing. People are trying to generate revenues and disconnected from effort. So you'll see things start showing up and they won't know to ask you questions about the impact on sales tax or income tax or any of those other things. And they won't think about how they're going to track those deposits and reconcile and all that. They create a mess and you're not going to know. So I guarantee you it's coming. More and more people are opening some level of a retail sale on their website, or not as many people are doing physical stores, but there's a lot of online commerce, even things like donations for membership organizations. And anybody that has a credit card payment online has this issue with the payments not matching the deposit and all kinds of stuff. So be open to that and ask people, how are they generating their sales and how are they getting paid? Because if you find out they have credit cards, they've got some sort of a retail system in place and they're probably having challenges. Oh yeah, Jennifer, you got all the challenges in a state that doesn't have sales tax and nobody wants to collect for the out-of-state sales tax. And there are limits, there are trigger limits that you have to come over in most states in order to file in those states, but it's a pain. In the alcohol industry, you can't sell one bottle into a state without getting registered for both sales tax and excise tax purposes. So it's very complicated in regulated industries. So if you start measuring things, one of the things you need to be aware of is the act of measuring changes behavior, which is a really strange thing. People know they're being measured, then they act differently, right? So you need to be aware of that. And oftentimes it's a very positive change that you'll see, but it may not last forever. So you need to check back in. You want to make sure you're aware of any possible impacts. The best example is in our toolkit is Southwest Airlines. They decided that a critical measure of happiness or satisfaction for a customer was how quickly they got their bags, right? We all know it's a pain in the neck. You get there to wait 4 hours for your bag to come off the thing. And so they said, we're going to count the first bag off in order to get a metric. And we're going to try to improve that metric over time. And here's the goal. Well, what happened, and I have seen this happen, is you're standing there and one bag comes out and immediately, so they count that. We got the first bag out. And then 45 minutes later, all the other bags come out. So they realized that was a bad measure. So now what they count is last bag out, and that avoids the change in behavior that is counter to what they're trying to accomplish. So you need to make sure that the measures are identified with some level of desired outcome. Think about what negative impacts might happen, and then modify the things that you're counting in order to get wherever you're trying to go. Otherwise, you might find yourself a bit downtrodden, as this poor creature is indicating there. So first, you got to know where you're going to measure. Where's the data that we're going to track to get that metric? And then where are we going to do it consistently? And how can we make sure that that's the right place? Sometimes you can't get the numbers easily, and there's another project for you to work on with that client. Let's make sure we can pull the data out in some sort of extraction tool, do something like a Zapier, to help you automate the flow of information. But again, when it comes to retail, you got to look at Sender because they've got it all figured out for you. You don't have to build any connections. They can pull the data in and put it directly into your QuickBooks application and eliminate all the pain and suffering there. You need to know the baseline. Where are you starting out on these things? If you're going to improve the bags off the thing, where are we now? How long does it take now to get a bag out? Way too long, I can tell you. And then what are we trying to get to for that particular metric? What are we doing on cases per customer? And again, helping them get that data is a project that you can also be serving that client with. So establish the baseline, define what it is, and then set your target for where you want to be, and then make sure that you have visible tracking so that you can see if you're making progress. So the process is, get the high level objectives set at the top of the company, drill down into the areas that support the financials, figure out the things that have to go right in order for that to happen, build the measures with the team, get the team involved in defining the measures, and have them decide what they want to work on, and then come up with what we're going to count related to that goal, and then create some sort of visible reporting tool. Again, it doesn't have to be an $8 million dashboard, and you don't want to wait around until you get the technology right on the dashboard. You want to do simple tracking as soon as you can so that people are engaged and able to see how they're doing. So when you do that, instead of having clients who are lost in the numbers, you can help them uncover the gold buried within those insights in those numbers. And there's huge value in that. You can build way more than what you're doing for transactional work if you're doing that. And you can really impact that company from top to bottom by giving people really good insights and really good clarity around how what they do matters to the overall success of the company. So when you do that, you're going to not only increase the value of your services, you're going to become a partner in their business success. And you're going to stop that billing too little, Jennifer, and they're going to be begging for you to help them, especially when you start with all prospective new clients by putting them through that scope grid process. I guarantee you, by the time you're finished with that, they're going to want you, and they're not going to be concerned about the price. They're going to want you to help them fix whatever thing is going on in their business, and they're going to trust you in a way that they haven't done before, because people don't ask those kinds of questions. So try that with one prospective client. Tell them that you're not the cheapest, that you do things differently, and here's how you always start, and your goal is to help them achieve their dream, whatever that is, or their vision of success. With that, do I have any questions? Put it in the chat or the question thing, and I'm happy to take those. Lizzie, do you want to put the promo up? And I'm just going to put my contact. Reach out to me. I'm Geni Whitehouse, Geni at theimpactfuladvisor.com. You can go to the website, theimpactfuladvisor.com. You can find me on a bunch of sites, GeniWhitehouse.com, or Even a Nerd. That's my speaking brand. I'm going to hopefully be speaking QuickBooks Connect. I don't know that I've gotten my topic in. I've spoken there every year. I'm going to be at BotKeeper Unchained speaking. I work with Sender, my sponsor for today. I love what they're doing. I love talking about their solution. If you haven't checked it out, you've got an opportunity here to get a credit bonus for signing up, and your clients will love you forever if you take care of this huge hassle that they have in their lives. So let me know any questions, any comments. If you would take a moment and just type what stood out for you from what I talked about. Is there something that resonated with you that I said that really made an impact? Type it in the chat and let me hear from you, so I know I'm not talking to the wall. And with that, I thank you for being here. We'll stay on and let you type in the, yeah, Mag, you can make a big difference and a partner with your client. Yeah, it's such a difference. I mean, it's such a difference when I go in, and people are glad to see me when I come in with my advisory kit. And I don't do any tax or financial statement work at all. I only do advisory for the firm. And it's really amazing. It's really fun. And they give me wine, y'all, when I finish. They never did that when I did taxes, although I never did taxes for wineries. So different. Yeah, you can make a huge difference, and you're already making a huge difference. The work that you do keeps the economic engine of the world going. So congratulate yourself for that. But just think about what you could do if you could do more work for fewer clients and get paid what you're worth. It's life-changing. It gives you your life back, and really allows you to help more, which is, I know, why you're doing this. Most accountants are in this business for that reason. So yeah, so find activity input measures, or what we call the activity level count of things that aren't necessarily financial, like number of emails, number of marketing campaigns, number of invoices per month, so things that are not financial are typically the most useful indicators of behavior, behavioral changes that people in the front lines can make. But give them an opportunity to weigh in on that, and you'll see things really happen. So I'm going to stop talking. Lizzie, anything else we need to say? Again, thank you, Sender, for having me here. It's always a pleasure. I love talking about this product. I love talking about advisory. If you have a question or anything I can do, my email is Geni at theimpactfuladvisor, or Geni at evenanerd.com, and that's GENI. If you want any of the tools that I shared, you want me to send you a copy of the spreadsheet or of that scope grid, just send me an email. I'll be happy to share that with you. And thank you very much, and have a great rest of the week. My pleasure, folks. Thank you for the kind words.